New Progress owners Martyn Best and Lee McAteer have acquired a partnership deal with TNT Extreme. Anthony Ogogo made his Progress Wrestling debut. Swerve Scott will make his return to Progress at Chapter 129, and Progress have announced their 10th year anniversary show will be at their first home, The Grange. Leo Rush will hopefully be at RevPro UK's Raw Deal show in Stevenage. Shimmer World Champion Hyan will be returning to RevPro UK, as is NJPW Strong's Alex Coughlin. Gabriel Kidd will be facing Christopher Daniels at NJPW Strong's Rivals. Mark Haskins will replace Robbie X to face Gabriel Kidd at North NCL's Losing My Edge. And Mark Haskins makes his ICW return on the 4th of February against Theo Dorras. Hello, everybody, and welcome to TNT, a Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling, as featured on bodyslam.net, brought to you by Powered 4 TV. I'm your host, the Great British Tycoon, Mr. Andrew Moore and Deacon Most. I am joined, as always, by the co-host. He is Big Daddy Dan, Daniel Allen, just Dan for short. How are we doing, Dan?
Do you want the honest answer? I'm tired. I've had such an awesome week of wrestling, but I am tired. We have had interviews. We have had shows. Let's be honest, we all stayed up to watch the Royal Rumble. We have been to live events. You travelled miles upon miles upon miles.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't stay up to watch the Royal Rumble because I had to be up very early in the morning to travel very early to go see Wrestle Carnival, which is an amazing show. We'll be talking about that shortly. But of course, you were at FNW's Rise of the Kingdom just a couple of days prior to that. And as you say, we were part of the Wrestle Carnival preview show along with Wrestling with Johners. Our appearance on the Bump Progress, we did record it a couple of weeks ago, but of course it came out recently. And our amazing interview with, Natural Progression Series, Danny Black, FNW Heavyweight Champion, and of course the UKPW Interregional Champion. We got to chat to him about so many different things.
He's such a nice guy.
He really, really is. We say it all the time. They're always such a nice guy. They're always so humble. It's almost like they're not aware of how talented that they truly are. And Danny Black is going to be a superstar.
At some point, I'm sure we will interview an arsehole. I'm sure it will happen. But at the moment, I have only seen lovely people in Brit Wres.
Yeah, we've been very lucky, of course, in that retrospect. And of course, we've been feeling the love as well recently. We really have. We've been truly feeling the love. There's been a lot of positivity comments coming our way, and that's truly incredible. It's an amazing thing. And
we thank everybody for it. We really, truly do.
And then, of course, today's show, huge news coming out. Progress, Martyn Best, Lee McAteer, new owners now agreeing a partnership with deal with TNT Extreme. We got the NXT UK review, of course. We've got news coming out of Europe, and we've got loads of shows coming out next week that you should definitely get off your butts and go see. But let's start it off. You were at FNW, Rise of the Kingdom. Danny Black, our recent guest, by the way. Did I mention that? He defended his FNW Heavyweight Championship against replacement Warren Banks. You had Axel Tisca versus Luke Jacobs, the 8-7 versus Jay Joshua and
Billy
Hayes, thank you. My mind, I'm so tired. So I'm going to let you take over for a minute and tell us all about it.
Well, we started off with Mad Kurt versus Ashley Dunn. Ashley Dunn on his 6th attempt at winning the Zero Force Championship. And he was unsuccessful because Mad Kurt broke a keyboard over his own head in the traditional making it look like somebody else has knocked you out and getting them disqualified. He was wearing his amazing Twitter pajamas which got lots and lots of chants. And it was a good, fun opening match. We then went on to Rio O'Reilly versus Laura Di Mateo. I've not seen Rio O'Reilly very much before. She's very good. Very, very good. And it was a quiet crowd. It was a crowd that appreciated the wrestling and they knew their wrestling, but they were quiet. And she was able to give a lot of abuse to the crowd. In the end, Laura Di Mateo did pull out the win and was well deserved. We then had Joshua and Hayes versus the 8-7. The 8-7 were so over, and they came out with Warren Banks. Warren Banks tried to get involved, and Danny Black came out and beat him, and then they had to fight to the back, leaving just the two tag teams. This was tight as. The 8-7 were brilliant. They really are absolutely fantastic. Big wavy Roy Johnson is a star, and Alexander Roth, as we know, is absolutely brilliant as well. In the end, though, they did lose, and our champions retained. We then had Axel Tisca versus Luke Jacobs. Luke Jacobs can do no wrong. At the moment, everything he does is just so smooth, so hard-hitting, just brilliant. Axel Tisca really enjoyed himself. And I'll be honest with you, I think this was actually a better match for Tisca than the Wrestle Carnival match. It was just absolutely brilliant. And Luke Jacobs won. Huge shock.
Huge win for Jacobs.
Yeah. Mark Haskins versus Martyn Kirby next. Mark Haskins was over like Rover. He had godlike status. They loved him. I was behind Kirby for this one. I think Kirby's brilliant. He's so much fun. The ongoing chants of "This is Haskins, come on Kirby" went on until I lost my voice, which is still going now. And in the end, Haskins won. Great match. Danny Black versus Warren Banks. Now, Danny, I love you, but if you're going to throw a 6'2", 18-stone man out of the ring, please don't throw him into my lap. It wasn't comfortable. He's a big old boy. This was great. Danny Black is, as we know, absolutely fantastic. Warren Banks is on a tear at the moment. He is going up and down the country, challenging for belts left, right, and centre, and it is not going to be long before he is winning them. Didn't win this time. Danny Black won. But then, as he went to the first corner and celebrated, he went to the second corner and celebrated, he came over to me, pointed and said hi, which was nice. And then Big Jim Diehard came out and attacked him and battered him, while the fans all chanted, "Your head's on upside down," as he is bald with a large beard. It was a great show. Definitely, you are going to want to watch this on Power 4 TV. Chris Hatch was doing the intros as well, which went down very, very well. Fantastic live show. Go to Unit 9, watch FNW, have an absolutely fantastic time. I will be doing for all of their shows this year, and I would give this 4 sugars.
Super. I say definitely looking forward to that Jacobs Tisca match. Haskins Kirby, I can imagine, which can be supreme. Ashley Dunn is somebody who's very underrated right now, and I look forward to seeing his match with Mac. Be interesting. But yes, we were at Wrestle Carnival. Yes, I know you're all out there. You're saying, but I thought you weren't going to go to shows. Gary messaged me, invited me, and the amount of support that Wrestle Carnival and Gary have provided for us, I felt like I couldn't turn him down. I was just like, yes, I want to be. Plus, there were so many great matches that I really, really wanted to see. So we came to an arrangement. It was my Valentine's present from my amazing fiance to me. And yes, as I say, I was up at 6:30. I was traveling by 8:30. I had to wait around for a few hours while we were there and go around and get coffee, have something to eat, and finally showtime. What an amazing show. And then rushed to get my bus home, managed to get it, and I was back in by 12:30 that evening. Oh.
How many hours were you traveling for this show, Andy?
The hours total travel was 6 hours.
Wow.
So
it was 4 hours for me.
It was a long journey, but it was totally worth it. We kicked off the show. Man Like Dorras, Tom Farewell, and they did exactly what they needed to do. The crowd was a little quiet for Farewell, certainly behind Man Like Dorras. Farewell's just beginning to really get his name out of that Northwest and get around the country. I think he did that in this match. He addressed himself to a lot of people in this match. He had a great match, and they got the crowd excited. It was high paced. There was some flashy moves. There was some power. Both of these guys are hybrids. You know, they can literally both of these guys can do it all. And it was a great opening match.
Man Like Dorras is now my son's favourite wrestler. After his entrance and the way he worked, my son went out and bought the T-shirt and just thought Man Like Dorras was absolutely amazing. The Lyrical Dragon. And a nice little touch, he put Lyrical Dragon stickers on everybody's seats so that we all had a Lyrical Dragon sticker to take home, which I thought was very nice.
Indeed, and little business cards as well out every so yeah. He was marketed. Good boy.
He was indeed.
But yeah, I love the Lyrical Dragon. I love his entrance. As you say, nobody gets the place hype like Man Like Dorras. And instant connection when he comes out like that. So that was supreme. Next up was some big boys.
Pure beef.
Pure beef.
Reese and Rogan.
Reese versus Reese and Rogan. Yes, Reese and Rogan are Nasty Boys meet the Dudley Boys.
Yeah, I was thinking they reminded me quite a bit of Public Enemy.
Yeah, bit of Public Enemy in there. Obviously, they are Reese and Rogan. They are Wrecking Ball Reese and the Big Hoss Rogan. They are big boys, but
they're not as big as these guys, though, were they?
They're not as big as they weren't as big as Pure Beef, and Pure Beef were big. And great connection between Powerhouse Blake and Will Cruz. They can be a real dominant team in the tag division, as can Reese and Rogan. These are two fantastic tags. I love tag team wrestling. This was brutal. It was great.
It was brutal, but it also was good tag team wrestling. There were little bits like the way they properly sectioned off the ring and made sure that Rogan was always battered and on the floor so he wasn't able to tag in. I thought they did really, really well there.
Yeah, fantastic selling on the finish as well. The guys, Reese and Rogan, got a deserved round of applause as they headed back to the...
They also did something unusual for a family-friendly show. They got everybody off their chairs and played Skittles.
They did, yes. Somebody else did that a little bit later as well. We'll get into that. But yes, they started it. Next up was Ivy and Tonga. I haven't seen Ivy much, and I was very impressed with Ivy in this match. I thought the girls really, really... again, they did exactly what they needed to do. They went out there. They had a good little match. They got the job done.
Tonga was a proper face. She got everybody behind her. Ivy is a pure heel.
Yeah, people hate Ivy, and she loves to be hated. So fair play to Ivy. This was, as I say, I haven't seen much of her. From what I saw in this, this was fantastic. This was a really, really good match. Then we got the first of the championship match. Oh, first we had the raffle. When was the raffle today of that?
They had the raffle before the championship match.
Yeah. Where a winner was chosen to deliver the belt or present the belt to the eventual champion. And this was great. This was a great rumble.
It was. Chris Ridgway, Charlie Sterling wasn't able to attend, so Brady Phillips stepped up. It was Tommy Kyle, Charles Crowley, Jay Joshua, Dean Allmark, Warren Banks, and Big Guns Joe.
Yeah, no eliminations till 8 were in the ring. So that was quite a key factor to the match. Yeah, 0 eliminations till all 8 were actually in the ring. And then after they finally got all in sort of the ring, it did start to go quite like dominoes, quick successions. It got down to the final two, Mr. Chris Ridgway and Mr. Charles Crowley. And I'm sure everybody was thinking it, everybody thought it, and everyone would have been wrong. I predicted it on the Wrestle Carnival preview show. I did say there's one person that he thrives on the chaos of a match like that. And I was right. He thrives on that chaos. He capitalized on that chaos. Don't underestimate Charles Crowley was the lesson, because he started the Rumble as number one.
He did indeed, and Tommy Kyle was number two. And Tommy Kyle has had so many plaudits after this match. People weren't quite as aware of him as they should be, and they certainly are after this match. This is going to be a stepping stone for Tommy Kyle to get a lot of bookings across the UK.
Indeed. That where he does the 619 into a German suplex. Incredible. Yeah. Fantastic to see live. And if he's looking for a name for it, I think the aerial screwplex.
I like it. We'll have to send that one across. It was a great Rumble match, and the right twat won.
Indeed. The second half of the show opened up with Joseph Connors coming down to the ring. He delivered a great promo. The crowd were very much into it. Everyone was listening to his every word, what he had to say. I really look forward to seeing everything that Joseph Connors does now he's back onto this on the independent scene in the UK.
Nathan Cruz then came out and interrupted him at the end.
Yeah,
and it will be Nathan Cruz versus Connors at Thursday Night Carnival.
Yeah, that was very unexpected. I did not expect the professional Nathan Cruz, an incredible wrestler, by the way, Nathan Cruz, and very deserving of the moniker, the professional. Somebody who's always been a wrestler first. And he came out and he didn't really say much apart from welcome back. And then he walked out, and I thought that was very well done. Welcome back, Joseph Connors, indeed. Then we got, of course, the first of our title of blockbuster matches, the WXW Unified Championship match, Axel Tisca versus Joe Hendry. And I just want to say, the ring announcer, Jade Wolford, I think, Jade is amazing. Best announcer live for me out of all the shows I've gone to live so far. My favorite announcer right now.
She was very, very good.
She delivered that matchup perfectly. And
however, let's go on to Axel Tisca's opponent, Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry. I thought I keep saying this. I thought Charles Crowley was genius as far as doing these little videos. Hendry, I love you. He did a wonderful pretend video of Axel Tisca coming to attack him with an axe, which was him wearing a paper Axel Tisca mask, dressed as a lumberjack.
Song. And then Axe Man.
He did the Billy Gunn theme tune to I'm an Ass Man as I'm an Axe Man. And this video lasted about 3 minutes. It was hysterical. It was wonderful. It was brilliant. And all throughout that, Axel Tisca was losing his mind in the ring.
Yeah, he sold that brilliantly. Because, I mean, if you know Tisca, if you know Ringkampf, you know it's all about profession. So you know this just had him seething at the teeth. And of course, he eventually, what was the second song they did? He merged it into another song eventually.
It was an Eminem one.
Yeah.
It wasn't Lose It. It'll come to me.
Yeah,
but yes, it was very
Either
good.
way, it was very, very entertaining. I mean, this has been Joe Hendry's MO since God knows. I mean, if you can just look down Joe Hendry videos from the past. It's brilliant on YouTube. There are so many great renditions. He's a very entertaining big man.
He is not small.
Big boy. He was able to push Tisca around, pick him up, and slam him down with relative ease. And Tisca's a big boy himself.
Yeah. It was a good match. It was a good match. I'm still saying when you get to see it, the Luke Jacobs match, I think, was a better match. But this was good. I did enjoy it. And the right man won. Axel Tisca is going back to Germany holding his WXW championship.
Yes. All thanks to an eye rake, though. And again, as I mentioned on the Wrestle Carnival preview, this has been an MO of Axel Tisca right now, of these dubious wins that he's been getting since becoming champion and retaining that championship, which is why he's in a fatal four-way at 16 karat gold. But great match. Next up was the Yota Tsuji Gabriel Kidd. It was Gabriel Kidd's homecoming. Wow, the crowd absolutely reacted to this in fantastic fashion. They really... Yota Tsuji had his fans. They sung his song. He did. I forgot to bring my fan with me. I was a bit annoyed with myself and not bringing the fan with me. But this was a different match than I was expecting.
It was a different match than anyone was expecting. This was a strong style match. This was 25 minutes of two men hitting each other as hard as they could.
I mean, they did open with the collar and elbow, like I said they would do. But yes, it really didn't take them long to start. And once they started, I started to think about, I can't remember many suplexes, spears, or jackhammers, or it was chops, big knees, big slaps, big elbows,
big everything,
big clotheslines, big throws into the chairs.
Yes, you can see I've put a video up and you can see my shirt flying through the air as Yota Tsuji goes flying through the chairs.
Tsuji, I liked his tights, by the way.
Yes.
Till now, I'd only seen Tsuji typically in his black trunks, but I like his somewhat colourful reddish black tights that he had on. He did kind of heal it up a little bit. So I'd be interesting to see if he's leaning into the Legion's influence on Rev Pro UK. It'd be interesting to see how his match against Shota Umino went at high stakes. But yeah, as you say, this was a brilliant match. It was not the match I was expecting, but it was a brilliant match.
It was a brilliant match. I'm very glad I've got to see a match like that live. And also, I think it was very nice. Gabriel Kidd, hometown kid, came out on top. Yota Tsuji at the end did go and hand over his fan to Gabriel Kidd's mother, which I thought was a classy thing to do.
Yes, this was brilliant. Gabriel Kidd addressed the crowd afterwards, which was fantastic. Of course, this was the point where I started to kind of panic because I realized the show was going to overrun. I was like, "Oh, come on!" And so we got onto the women's championship Rumble match. Give us the list of.
It was Alex Windsor, Mercedes Blaze, Charlie Morgan, Rio, Jetta, Lana Austin, Chantel Jordan, and Lizzie Evo.
Oh, but wait! You forgot about Alexis Falcon and Gia Adams. But don't you worry, because they came out and they made sure that they weren't forgotten about, and they entered themselves into the Rumble. They didn't win.
No, Gia got thrown to my feet.
This again was really, really good. Very well done. You can see people being disappointed with certain people being eliminated, which is great because you can tell the fans were interacting.
It actually went longer than the men's one.
It did. You could get to see the fans by this point really into the whole show after that Gabriel Kidd match. So they took the passion from that match and then they threw that back into the girls, who then threw that back at us and came down to Rio and Alex Windsor, and they beat each other to pulp. Because they actually got to have a singles match, whereas Charles Crowley, Chris Ridgway, it was literally as soon as they went down to 2, one missed move, and that was the match over. This time around, they had roughly, I'd say, 6 minutes or maybe a bit longer, where they really battled each other. Rio hit Alex Windsor with everything she had, but the Iron Lady just kept kicking out. Iron Willed, she just kept battling, and she locked in that sharpshooter, and it looked like Rio was going to get to the ropes, but Windsor, she dragged her back to the center. Tap out. The emotional thing with her son being presented to present the title to her, that was phenomenal. She's amazing. She's been doing incredible since she's come back. And again, I would like to point out my number 1 pick in the Wrestle Carnival preview show.
Just
rubbing it in.
You know your stuff.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out the number of wrestlers that were there. I know a few of them have been there for Axel Tisca's seminar beforehand, but there was a lot of UK talent that weren't booked that were there to be there and enjoy the show. We got to have a chat with quite a few, and it was really lovely.
Yeah, and all the people that we did get to speak to, that was excellent. Thank you very much, Axel, Tisca. Hopefully, I will catch you at another show, and you will have a medium for my size. And the same with Warren Banks. Again, I went to buy your T-shirt, and unfortunately, did not have one in my size. I'm not a large or an extra large. I'm a medium. Even sometimes in a small with some of these T-shirts, to be honest, because it depends. Because I like them tight and form thin, if they're really nice. But there was some great T-shirts. There was some great merch. I know they were happily taking photographs with people. You got to have a photograph with Charles Crowley, a part of the VIP with the belt.
Yeah.
And as did the tribal chief of the Big Fat Geeks, Mr. Stephen Salden, who we know had a fantastic time. We know Jack had an incredible show. So thank you to all the performers that night. Thank you to Gary. And
it was just awesome. Thank you, everyone. And go to Wrestle Carnival shows. Go on their Patreon, support them now.
Yeah. If not, even sign up to IWTV. And even that will help them out, and you'll be able to watch a load of independent wrestling TV, and you'll be able to see Wrestle Carnival shows on IWTV as well as North Wrestling, NCL, Resurgence Wrestling, and Title Championship Wrestling.
Should we move on to the news?
Yes, big news, big news. 2 people who are making huge waves in British wrestling right now.
And we aren't talking about Roy Johnson.
Big deals, big waves. But yes, not Roy Johnson. We are talking about Lee McAteer and Martyn Best, who, of course, on December 31st, it was announced that they would be leading Progress into 2022 as they took over ownership of Progress Wrestling. They have now acquired a partnership deal with Jay of TNT Extreme. Jay Apter, who runs TNT Extreme since 2014, have followed a very similar model to Progress, building a strong local fan base and being able to come up in that way. But they had their own identity as well, with the extreme and the hardcore and the death matches. So yeah, I did write an article on this. I'm not sure how the deal was split. Progress is technically not a partnership between Progress and TNT Extreme. It's just because Martyn Best and Lee McAteer, they own Progress. They just own a part of TNT Extreme now as well. There may be some collaboration, but the two will remain their own separate entities. Progress will remain on the WWE network and on Demand Progress. Powered 4 TV will remain to be TNT Extreme's home. I think what we'll see is maybe a bit more money thrown into the presentation of the show, and just the backing and the marketing and the minds of two of the guys. Both of them being well aware of TNT Extreme. My Best has always had in Liverpool area sporting ventures, and of course Lee, the owner of Wrestling Travel, who do the ticket sales for TNT Extreme. So there was previous, obviously, relationships all around, and it can only be good. And I'm fingers crossed that we might be starting to see a build of some sort of federation. And
it would be amazing, and it gives a lot of excitement around TNT Extreme, a lot of excitement around Progress, a lot of excitement around Brit Wres in general.
Yeah, TNT Extreme deserve it as well. They, as we say, they have been doing an incredible thing. They have a ravenous local fan base who, are very much love the product that TNT Extreme have been putting out for years. That we're seeing it expand now, and I think it's only, as you say, it's only going to be good for British wrestling. More eyes across not just the UK but across the world.
Yeah, so, no, it's all good. And let's keep going on Progress.
Yes, they were back in front of the live show. I'll be reviewing that in just a little while. But one of the big news stories out of it was Anthony Ogogo made his debut for Progress Wrestling. Yes, that's right, the AEW superstar, the man that tried to end Cody Rhodes, in that big rivalry of UK versus America. Anthony Ogogo he came and he had a great match with Harry Singh that is only available on Demand Progress as a bonus match. It is not available via the WWE network. Now,
I can't say I'm massively surprised, but
we have no idea what the situation is. Is the speculation they went, no, we're not putting an AEW superstar on there? Or is it they just went, you know what, this is special. We need something to make sure people subscribe to Demand Progress. Let's put him on here. And I think it's a great move. And thankfully, I hadn't gotten rid of my Demand Progress as yet. So I was able to watch the match, and it was a very strong showing by Anthony Ogogo, who didn't look out of place whatsoever, but on a great little match with Harry Singh, picked up the win. But yes, it seems like he's probably here to stay for a little while.
Fingers crossed. It was also announced that Swerve Scott will be making his return to Progress Wrestling at Chapter 129, I Choose You.
I wonder how many people are old enough to remember that Simpsons reference.
Oh, everyone remembers that Simpsons reference. It's wonderful.
Isn't it? I'm sure it's a meme. Probably a meme.
Everything's somewhere. A meme these days. We're old.
Yeah, we're old. What's a meme? I don't even understand it. Yes, Swerve Scott. I remember the first match I ever saw of Swerve Scott was in a Progress Wrestling ring, and it was against Will Ospreay. It was insane. He did amazing work with NXT UK. He did some good stuff with MLW before, as well as with Evolve, and good to see him back in the UK. Look forward to seeing who he faces. We're piping up for Danny Black versus Swerve Scott, because
yes, please.
I think that would be a phenomenal match. What about you? What else? What other matches do we think for Swerve?
Oh, in Progress, Kid Lycos. I think that could be a good match.
Could be somebody good to have Warren Banks beat ahead of his championship match.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
So Warren Banks and again that would again be an insane match. Yeah. Insanely good match, by the way. Insane. Yeah, I like it. I like those ones. Anyway, but it'd be great to see him back. And of course, Warren Banks, who did win the 6-man matchup at the live show, he owned his title shot, and he's already called his shot. He will be taking it at the 10th anniversary show, which will be held at Progress's very first home, the Grange.
Garage.
Yeah, you know. I'm
Garage
tired.
in Highbury.
The Garage, yeah.
I've seen so many bands at the Garage. I really should go to this show. I really should go out of my way and get a ticket. It's close. I have no excuses not to, other than money. I really should go along. I will.
But it doesn't hold the amount the Electric Ballroom does it?
It doesn't hold that many, but the atmosphere is so good.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why they're doing it, the nostalgia factor. I was just thinking of how many people are going to want to go see this show, and I'm just thinking, oh man, they've got it at smaller venues, but so get your tickets quick.
And if you can't watch it, go to Progress on demand.
And go on, Warren Banks, win that Progress Wrestling Championship.
You deserve it.
Yeah, damn right he does. RevPro UK have announced they'll be returning to the Golden Craig Theatre on the 5th of March with Raw Deal 2022. And announced so far is the former WWE star, the former AEW star, Lio Rush.
Assuming he is fit and healthy by then, because he did get injured taking the curb stomp from Buddy Matthews at the Battle of Los Angeles this weekend. So fingers crossed it's not too bad an injury caused by a fan's drink that was thrown in the ring, and then he slipped when he was doing the stomp. So fingers crossed Lio Rush will be okay to be in Stevenage on the 5th of March.
Is this a good time to have a rant about fans?
Careful one.
I'm not. There are some habits of fans we got to realize. Yes, we can be part of the show, but don't make ourselves the focal point of a show. Don't overstep your bounds. And
I'm there to see the wrestling. I'm not there to see the fans. If you are trying to take over the show, you are not my friend.
One reference for me recently at this Wrestle Carnival show, who some people had obviously seen that Gabriel Kidd was in Hooters, and they were doing sly little chants about Gabriel Kidd being in Hooters. I really hope it's not picked up by any of the sound. I know you couldn't hear on the other side. They said obviously they weren't being loud enough, but I was sat right next to them, so obviously I could hear them. Guess what? I saw Gabriel Kidd, Yoda Tsuji, and Alex Coughlin at Starbucks. You didn't hear me chanting, "How did you like your Starbucks?" Okay? It was a great bloody match. Just enjoy the match.
It was a great bloody match.
If you're going to talk about wrestling, talk about wrestling.
Have you got that out of your system?
I've got it out of my system. Anyway, again, don't throw things in the ring.
Don't throw things in the ring, very much so. Another bit of news from RevPro UK is that the Shimmer World Champion Hyan will be returning. She'll be competing for RevPro on the 6th of February at the 229, the 13th of February in Southampton, the 27th of February in St Neots, another close one for us, and on March the 5th at Raw Deal in Stevenage, and March the 6th in London.
Yes, another American superstar who will be part of all of these shows will be Alex Coughlin. NJPW Strong's Alex Coughlin will also be at all of those dates. Finally, Gabriel Kidd, whilst he is still here in the UK, will be competing for RevPro UK on the 6th and the 13th before he flies back to the States for New Japan Strong Rivals, where he will be facing Christopher Daniels.
And it's going to be fantastic. I am going to be going out of my way to watch that match.
Yeah. you know, as a young superstar, working with people like the stature, the talents of people like Christopher Daniels can only make you better. And I'm sure there'll be things that Kidd will be able to take from this match. I hope he goes there and wins this match, of course. He hasn't picked up his first win yet in New Japan Strong, having losses to Jonathan Gresham and Eddie Kingston. So go on.
If you're going to lose to the best.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Also at New Japan Strong's Rivals, which is on the 17th of February, is Buddy Murphy. We just mentioned him a minute ago. Buddy Murphy versus Ren Narita. That should be a hard-hitting match, fun match. And Thin Juice, David Finlay, and Juice Robinson will be facing Jonah, the former Bronson Reed, and Bad Dude Tito.
And we have one final piece of Gabriel Kidd news while we're on this.
Yeah.
He is also going to be in action for North Wrestling NCL this weekend. He was due to face it off with Robbie X, but Robbie has still got his injury on his ankle. So Gabriel Kidd will now be facing Mark Haskins.
Indeed. So Mark Haskins returned to North with this match as well. So big, obviously, he's now been making the round since being released. He's been far more active. Again, brilliant to see. I'm sure that's going to be a cracking match.
It will be without a doubt. And Haskins is also going to be wrestling for ICW on the 6th of February's live show, where he is going to be in action against Theo Dorras.
Should be a good match.
Definitely. Those two really will work well together.
Indeed. Sticking with ICW at ICW Square Go. It will be the 99 looking to regain and avenge their loss and win those titles back from the dastardly Kings of the North.
Now, we are a Brit Wres podcast. We love our British wrestling. However, we need to let you know something. Ladies and gentlemen, the Americans are coming.
The Americans are coming. Run, tell your friends. Yes, the Americans are coming. We just mentioned a load. Leo Rush, Jonathan Gresham, Swerve Scott, Hyan, Alex Coughlin have all been mentioned recently as part of shows for Progress, Rev Pro UK, and more. But also, don't forget that Eric Young is going to be in the UK. He's going to be there from the March 23rd till April the 16th. You can contact Gary Ward for booking information for seminars, matches, and so forth. The same can be said for Jesse Goddard's Mr. Pecktacular. Used to have the Bromance tag team with Rob Stone, well, at the moment, but what was he before that?
He was Robbie something, and I cannot remember.
It was a Jersey Shore thing.
Yeah, it was a good tag team as well. He's a good wrestler. He's currently the OPW heavyweight champion.
Indeed. And he is in the UK on April 1st till the 19th. And that's again for Gary Ward for booking information. JP Warhorse is in the UK. He is here from April, pretty much all through April and pretty much all through May as well. He's got a lot of bookings coming up with promotions such as Tidal, Championship Wrestling, North Wrestling NCL recently announced in PCW. So he was announced for, and plenty more. Again, he is available for shows and seminars during, as I say, the April and May period. Hernandez, former TNA star, will be part of the WPW extravaganza, as well as Too Cold Scorpio and Andrew Anderson. And they, of course, that's on the 19th of February, I believe. And, of course, Scotty Too Hottie. It's going to be at TNT Extreme, as will AC Romero on March. Ooh, bear with me. It's their See, this is what happens when you go to shows all weekend and you're tired.
Franklin Varga's coming over as well.
Oh, he's been here for quite some time. Thrill Kill is the show I'm thinking of course, where Scotty Tuhati is facing Gene Money with Session off Martina as the special guest referee. And as I say, AC Romero is there. I can't find a date at the moment, so I do apologize, but of course they are at TNT Extreme. So as we stay again, tell your friends, the Americans are coming. The Americans are coming. Anyway, what happened on NXT UK this week, Dan?
There was some wrestling.
Really?
There was. NXT UK this week started off with a promo for the Empty Arena match explaining the rules with no disqualifications, no countouts, and falls count anywhere. We then had La Familia. De Familia.
Totally different groups.
Different groups.
Nothing alike.
Versus Gallas. It was okay, in my opinion.
At least De Familia won.
Yes, at least De Familia won. I was happy about that. Wolfgang tap into the STF was good. Charlie Dempsey looks so talented.
That was going to be my point, is Teo Man, Dempsey, and Raja all look fantastic.
Yeah. It was an okay match. I thought it could have been better. But hell, it's better than I could do. So
look, for me, it's like it's a 6-man tag. Can you really do better?
Okay. Ginny versus Amel was next, and this was great. Ginny is just brilliant and wonderful. And Amel, I say it before, I'll say it again. In my opinion, Amel is the one person that is ready for the main roster on NXT UK. She should go straight up there now. Ginny got beaten down for most of the match, but then steals it with legs on the rope after a beatdown.
Yeah, Ginny is a dastardly heel. She does it brilliantly. It's why she is the focal point of a lot of NXT UK. And yeah, they had an amazing match. Amel, again, as you say, superb. She looked great. She looked dominant at times. And two top wrestlers.
Talking of top wrestlers, we then had a video package to promote next week's Japanese street fight between Blair Davenport and Meiko Satomura. I thought the Satomura wasn't going to be there because she was going to be in the Royal Rumble.
I thought, what do you think is going to make it a Japanese street fight?
Kendo sticks.
That's every street fight.
Yeah.
I am sick and tired of this. It's a New York street fight. It's a Philadelphia street fight. It's the Japanese, and they're all the same.
Well, I can understand it being a New York street fight if it's in New York. Being a Japanese street fight in London, yeah.
And, given last week's promo, I would have thought it would have been a Davenport mansion fight.
Oh, like in Tomb Raider, where you go around and beat up the butler.
Yeah, but
that
no.
would be perfect.
Exactly. Not this Japanese street fight. We want a Davenport mansion fight.
NXT, book it now. Nathan Fraser was then cutting an interview, but got interrupted by De Familia. I am happy if it means I get Nathan Fraser versus Charlie Dempsey.
I am happy if it means I get Nathan Fraser versus Charlie Dempsey, or Nathan Fraser versus Rohan Raja, or Nathan Fraser versus Teo Man, or any combination of that.
Yep. We then had the main event of the evening, Ilya Dragonov versus Wanker. It started with headbutts. It was a very violent match, but in a kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre way. Bear with me. A lot of it was implied. The actual number of chair shots and table spots was really actually very limited. It could have been a lot more. There was a lot more wrestling moves and strikes than actual hardcore chair shots, weapon shots, etc.
Yeah, but I'd rather have just had a straightforward match. I was very disappointed that this is what we got. I didn't like it. I thought it was boring. I would have rather have just had a simple, straightforward, in the ring match where the two could have delivered exactly how good they are, regardless of how they are of a person.
You know what really annoyed me about this as well? They made a whole point of it being an empty arena match. We've just come out of bloody COVID. Everything's been an empty arena match.
Exactly. I mean, it did not work for me whatsoever. Escalation too much just because he said one little comment about the kid. I didn't like the whole, the headbutt is affecting Ilya's.
Yeah, all in all, it wasn't a great match.
It didn't deliver to me whatsoever.
In the end, Dragonov won with Torpedo must go with his hands tied behind his back.
Yeah, and I hate that gimmick. I hate that. Nobody should be winning a match with their goddamn hands tied behind their backs. And I'm saying it now. You should not win the match if you got your hands tied behind your back.
So, unfortunately, this week's NXT UK, with the exception of Ginny versus Amel, you're lucky you had Ginny versus Amel because that lifts you up to a 2.
Yeah, I'm not going to give him much higher than a 2, and and it's not just because I'm in a grumpy mood because I'm tired. It just did not deliver.
Grumpy.
Someone's grumpy. Somebody needs his bed. I am just a grown child. Okay, if I'm in a grumpy mood, it means 2 things: I'm either hungry or I'm tired. Right now, so I'm tired. Anyway,
talking about tired, I'd like to make an apology, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologise with the amount of wrestling that I've been to this weekend, with the fact that I'm up for election this year and I've been outdoor knocking and various other things. I have not watched ICW this week. I am sorry. I will not be giving a review this week.
No, unfortunately not. I did manage to watch Progress Wrestling. I did manage to catch that. I was very surprised, actually, when I was like, oh, well, it's going to be on the WWE Network already, which is fantastic. I like that. So superb. Big props for the turnaround and getting it up within the week. It was a great show. It really, really was. Start to finish, this was great. This was it kicked off. Simon Miller did a great job hosting, and announcing, and that was great. Gene Money versus Kid Lycos kicked the show off proper.
I forgot to mention the Gene Money match at FNW. Gene Money, Nico Angelo, Nino Bryant, and somebody else had a really great match, and Gene Money is brilliant, and I love him.
Yes, but this was superb. Kid Lycos was his being able to take that big man down and control the match, trickery, tactics, all the rest, and Big Gene Money. He really can be a superstar if he wants to. I just want to see him just unleash and become that superstar that he can be. He picked up a big win here, dressed the crowd afterwards, put his name down, said he wants to be in Super Strong Style 16. He's been campaigning for it since 2018. So it's time for Gene and Super 16. Anyway, it was going to be Dino Wild versus Axel Tisca, but unfortunately Axel Tisca picked up an injury just before the match, and therefore it was Tate Mayfair who picked up the match. And Tateness is greatness, and he showed that in this match by dominating that veteran of the scene, and of course, graciously gave the veteran the rub.
You're just a shit Joey Essex.
Indeed. It was it was a great match. It was Tate Mayfair's got to show himself more, and he's a fantastic character and wrestler. Dean Allmark, we know what Dean Allmark is. He's a superstar. He is style with a smile, and he delivers every time he's in the ring. And big match coming up later. Tonga versus Session Moth Martina. And there was a fan during this period who I will say I thought got out of place. I didn't see him in the second half of the show, and I'm hoping that was because he got a good talking to, or even better, removed. I'm not going to go into the details of what it was. I just don't think, again, fans should be behaving like that at shows. Strong match. Session Moth Martina is superb. She's what would be the word to describe it? It kind of every time, because of the way she's so good with her character, it's always surprising how good she is in the ring, if you know what I mean. Because she's so good at making the fans feel disarmed, because she's just this drunken, fun girl who wears herself out during the entrance, almost like the Ultimate Warrior. But she's fantastic, and it's brilliant every time. And Tonga did her job really well, obviously, in this situation as the heel. Great match. Overall, superb. And then it was the Sunshine Machine versus Smoking Aces in the moves of in a match of who has the better tag team moves, who's got the better names for tag team moves. And there were a lot of tag team moves. There were a lot of good tag team action. Just a superb match. Smoking Aces have been fantastic. They picked up the win. They retained their championships, and deservedly so. Handshakes all around after the match. But then Lycos Jim came out and assaulted them and stole the tag team championships and told them that if they wanted the titles back, they would have to come and face them at the next show. Then it was Charlie Evans' return as she faced Lana Austin. Brilliant match. Lana Austin is superb. This was hard hitting. This was brutal. But Charlie Evans really showed her ability as a wrestler as well in this match. Some great exchanges at the beginning before the hard hitting began. And it was hard hitting. And it was great. And the fans loved it. She is the finest artist. Charlie Evans picked up the win there. All around, applause. Then I think it was finally where we get the bonus match that you only get if you watch from Demand Progress, which was Anthony Ogogo versus Harry Singh. Anthony Ogogo showed great work here, very much improving every time. Since we saw him in that Cody match, he looks better in this match than he had done in his AEW matches. And I'm sure he will get better and better if he continues to work with guys inside that Progress. Then it was the 6-man match to crown a new number one contender. Dan Maloney, Malik, Man Like Doris, Jody Fleisch, Warren Banks, and the heavy hitter Malik. Did I say superb match? Obviously, there was the whole Constantino, Danny Black. If you go watch the interview, did we tell you we interviewed Danny Black recently? He talks about the interaction that he had with Costa. You can go check that out now. Brilliant match, absolute chaos. Every guy did exactly what you expect from them. You know, Jody Fleisch was flying all over the place. Dan Maloney was beating everyone. Man Like Doris hyped us all up and then showed his great athleticism. The heavy hitter hit heavy, and then Warren Banks just bullet trained everybody with the spears, and eventually he picked up the win. Then it was Rio versus Mercedes Blaze. in a absolute Progress classic. Superb match. In fact, really one of possibly the match of the night, possibly. Honestly, very good match. There was some schmoz between Tonga and Mercedes Blaze. Rio comes away with the victory in the whole. She delivers a promo brilliantly. Loved the last line, which was, I'm going to show the world why I am Northwest strong.
Yeah.
I really loved that. And then in the final match, it was Chris Ridgway, Cara Noir. They did what they always do. They hurt each other a lot, and they made you wince and cover your eyes at the violence and the pain that they caused each other. Very, very, very good match. And it really came down to that fact of I'm Cara Noir, who will not be defeated. And he eventually came away with a win. Super match.
Now, I've only watched the first match, so I can't give a sugar rating, but what is your sugar rating for Progress?
4 sugars in my tea. It is so sweet.
Nice. So we're now going to move on, ladies and gentlemen, to what we have coming up in our next week in British wrestling. Starting off on Thursday, that's the 3rd of February, TNT Extreme DOA in Liverpool. To start with, you get an Extreme VIP dark match, which will be Lizzie Evo versus Mad Kurt.
Has there ever been a bigger reason to get a VIP ticket to see a dark match than Lizzie Evo versus Mad Kurt?
Mad Kurt is going to get murdered by Lizzie Evo. And yes, I would love to watch that match. We then have the DOA Extreme Tournament, starting off with the quarterfinals. Charlie Evans versus Alex Colon in a Fans Bring the Weapons match. Tyler Devlin versus Aspen Faith in a chairs and drawing pins match. The winners will then face off in a Taipei Deathmatch semi-final. Session Moth Martina versus Lou Nixon will be in a barbed wire and tables match, and Big Effin' Joe versus Cameron Solis in a home run derby match. The winners will then face off in a 2 out of 3 panes of glass match. The finals will be an extreme death match.
Yeah, because it just wasn't quite extreme enough yet.
I don't think so. I am loving the thought of a Taipei death match in the UK. I think they've missed a trick here, because I think Session Moth Martina in a Taipei death match would just be the funniest thing known to man, because she'd be crying about the broken bottles. So, yeah, it's going to be a bloody affair.
Who's your money on?
My money is on either Charlie Evans or Big Effin' Joe.
I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm saying Cameron Solis.
That is going out on a limb, but it's a sensible one.
I think this will be his shedding of the TNT ignition and introduction into the world of TNT Extreme.
And what better way to be introduced to the world than through 3 panes of glass?
Yeah. Oh, God. Friday the 4th, Northumbria Pro Wrestling Society has got the Southern Shakedown, which is in Northumbria, by the way. Henry Faust versus Oliver Barrett versus HD Drake. Spike Trevay versus Liam Slater. Gia Adams versus Evie Bateman. Damon Moser versus Screwface Ahmed. And the Sunshine Machine will take on the Landed Gentry, obviously Onox and Benji. Damon Moser versus Screwface Ahmed. Now that's a match that, you wouldn't think of. But when you hear it, you go, yeah, I want to see that match.
Creation Pro Wrestling in Rawswood on Friday in Cardiff, Wales. Nico Angelo, representing Lycos Gym, will be facing Connor Mills. Brendan White will face Martin Kirby in a very vital hair versus hair match. Funny if you know why. Just Joe Lando and Jodie Fleisch versus Lycos Jim. Elijah versus Nino Bryant. The OJMO, who we love, versus Sid Oakley. And Amira Blair versus Lee Hunter.
Yeah, Amira Blair is replacing Clementine, who was originally going to be in that show against Lee Hunter. But that seems like a great show. Connor Mills versus Nico Angelo. Again, one of those matches where you look at it on paper and you go, that should be a good match. Elijah, Nino Bryant should be a very interesting affair. Kamikaze Pro are also in action with Kamikaze Pro Live 25, and that is in Tipton. Chantel Jordan versus Colt Miles. Man Like Doris versus the Kamikaze Kid. Lucia Lee versus Hannah Taylor. Luke Douglas versus Samuel Hughes. MJ Grayson versus Kieran McQueen. Plus the Kamikaze Pro Roulette Rumble.
Saturday the 5th of February, we have Pro Wrestling Eve with Chantel Jordan versus Nina Samuels. Debbie Keitel versus Ava White. Debbie Dharma versus Ivy. Alexis Falcon versus Becca. And an international championship match with Alex Windsor versus Laura Di Matteo. Then the Medusa Complex, Amelia McKenzie and Charlie Evans versus the Uprising, Rio O'Reilly and Sky Smithson.
Yeah, Hyan's also literally just been announced for that today. I'm not sure who she's facing. But yeah, she has just been announced for the show as well. That looks like a killer show. There's some great matches again there. Alex Windsor versus Laura Di Matteo should be fantastic. Chantel Jordan getting in the ring with Nina Samuels. Yeah, really looking forward to that. North Wrestling NCL, they are also in action with Losing My Edge in Newcastle. They got a 5 p.m. pre-show match. Jet Marshall versus Eve Bateman versus Rebecca Resner versus Leon Slater. These are all trainees of Liam Slater at the Pro Pursuit Wrestling over in Yorkshire. But great young competitors. I've seen Rebecca Resner and Leon Slater in action. Superb. I haven't seen Jet Marshall and Eve Bateman, but I'm sure they are. If they're being trained by Liam Slater, they will be very good. Replacing Robbie X, Mark Haskins will be taking on Gabriel Kidd. Jack Bandicoot is somehow got to deal with Shreddy. In the tag team tournament, Conor Renshaw and Lou Nixon will be taking on HT Drake and Zio Knox. In another tag team tournament match, Man Like Doris and Visage will be taking on G Money and Kid Lycos. Charlie Morgan versus Rio versus Heidi Katrina versus Tonga. Lizzie Evo versus Gia Adams. And in a North Wrestling Championship match, Joseph Connors versus Rory Coyle versus Liam Slater.
Sunday the 6th. Progress, Chapter 128, Technique in Manchester. What a lineup. Scott Oberman versus Big Guns Joe. Alexis Falcon versus Lana Austin. A no DQ match of Spike Trevay versus Luke Jacobs. Tag Team Championship match of the Smoking Aces versus Lycos Jim. A Women's Championship match, Giselle Shaw versus Rio. That's another American that's coming, well, Canadian. Men's Championship match, Cara Noir versus Dean Allmark. That is a big thing. Dean Allmark has got the best win-loss record after Cara Noir. And Jonathan Gresham and Chris Ridgway will be in action.
Yeah, they will be in action against each other. Which I think that was either announced yesterday or today at some point. While we've been very busy, but I did see a flick up. So, yeah, as you say, absolutely killer lineup. Gresham versus Ridgway is going to be superb. We saw that thing. Big ups to Scott Oberman, who'll be making his Progress Wrestling debut. He is very deserving of this, a superb competitor, member of Northwest Strong. Used to compete on TNT Ignition, who are also in action at Sky's the Limit in Liverpool. There is an Ignition Fight VIP dark match. Lance Rivera and Lucy Sky versus Ryan Hunter and Aurora Tevez, making their TNT Ignition debut. Tateness is greatness. Tate Mayfair says he takes on MVK, the most valuable killer. Valgabius. Joe Kessler versus HT Drake. Shreddy versus Franco Varga. Brian Anderson versus Chase Alexander. RPD versus Sonna Durson in a boxing match. Ivy versus Hannah Taylor versus Gia Adams. Tom Felwell versus LJ Cleary. And in the TNT Ignition Championship match, Cameron Solas defends against JJ Webb. Tom Felwell versus LJ Cleary is a match I want to see, and I'll be able to see it on Power 4 TV.
And you can watch it on Power 4 TV for free for 30 days if you log in and use the code TPOD, TEAPOD. You can watch some amazing wrestling, some fantastic companies. Tell them who they can see, Andy.
Catch Pro Wrestling at Wrestle Island, TNT Extreme and TNT Ignition. RCWA, Triumph Pro Wrestling. I'm sure there's more.
So many more.
Lancashire Wrestling Federation, Odyssey Pro Wrestling, and so many more. Literally added yesterday. I watched most of it on my journey home on the bus. Was RCW's United show, where Will Ospreay returned to face his former best friend, his former tag team partner, his mentor, Paul Robinson. There was also a superb match between Kelly Six and Maverick Mayhew, and the RCWA British Heavyweight title match between Warren Banks and Callum Newman, also absolutely brilliant. I didn't manage to catch the rest of the show. I started to have bad reception, but the first half of the show that I did get to see was absolutely fantastic. And as Dan said, you can go check this out for yourself. You can support British wrestling. You can support us by signing up using our promotional code TPOD, TEAPOD, 1 free month. And then, as we say, support British wrestling, help support us. And talking about British wrestling, there's so much more coming up, and we've got more to talk about.
The new company Sovereign Pro have announced that Warren Banks and RJ Singh have joined their roster ahead of their debut show.
Indeed. SWW Wrestling have announced that Lizzie Evo will make her SWW debut at Combat Volume 4 in Gloucester on the 19th of February. Plus, Nico Angelo versus Tiger Ali. Then, on the 20th of February at Combat Volume 5 in Bristol, Tyson T-Bone will be making his SWW debut. Plus, Harrison Bino Bennett will be in action against August Jackson.
Catch Pro Wrestling have announced Catch 5 New Art Riot for the 3rd of April in Manchester. JJ Webb, Chantel Jordan, and Charles Crowley will all be in action.
Indeed. Pro Wrestling Eve have announced that they will be celebrating International Women's Day on the 4th of March with women behaving badly. No official announcement, but according to their poster, more Americans are coming as ROH competitor Max the Impaler, plus the NWA Tag Team Champions, the Hex, Marty Bell, and Sienna, plus Jetta, Charlie Evans, Rio, Alex Windsor, and Charlie Morgan are all on the poster.
It's a great poster. New Riot Wrestling have announced the final 2 qualifying matches for their championship match 4-way elimination at their debut show, Cash, Culture and Violence. RJ Singh versus TK Cooper and Chakra versus Nico Angelo. Plus, the final match for their debut show will be Elijah versus Laura Di Mateo.
Some good matchups there. Reckless Intent Wrestling, RIW, have announced 2 matches ahead of their Reckless Rumble show on the 26th of February. Aspen Faith versus Air Miles, plus the RIW Heavyweight Championship match between Theo Dorras as he defends against Keth Evans.
Independent Elite Wrestling have announced their final matchup ahead of their Valentine's Violence on the 19th of February. Oh Goth Almighty, Frankie T and Xander defend their tag team championships in a triple threat against Year Zero, Kevin Isaacs and Alex Connors, and Tight Grip, Xander Zulu and Morgan Black.
WAW, the World Association of Wrestling, have announced that Joseph Connors will be making his debut and he will be facing the European champion, Brad Slayer.
Modern Nomad Pro Wrestling have announced their next Tuesday night Graps show will take place on the 1st of March at the Frog and Bucket in Manchester. TK Cooper versus Kid Lycos, Chris Ridgway versus Charlie Evans, Everett Connors versus Lee Hunter. Plus, on the 26th of February, Modern Nomad Pro Wrestling will be in Cardiff, Wales for their local Shindy Wrestling Company, at which you will get to see the likes of Mad Kurt, Luke Jacobs, and Man Like Doris.
Indeed. Pro Wrestling Ambush have announced 2 more matches ahead of their spring-loaded show on the 18th of February. It is Laura Di Mateo versus Evie Madden. Well, that will be a very interesting match. Mike Bird versus Rex Armstrong. Due to the injury of Harley Hudson and the absence of Mariah May, both of who were due to compete in... Oh, wait, no, that's a different story. That's phenomenal Elite Wrestling. Phenomenal Elite Wrestling due to the injury to Harley Hudson and the absence of Mariah May, who were both due to compete in a triple threat match for the PEW Women's Championship. The match will now be Riho versus Lucia Lee versus Hannah Taylor.
Superstar Pro Wrestling announced 5 shows for the 2022 year. Slam Jam on March the 19th. In Your Scouse on May the 14th. Master of the Wrestleverse on July 16th, Wrestle War on September 19th, and Thunder Brawl on November the 19th.
It's like he experienced the exact same childhood as myself.
Yes, I'd noticed that as well.
PCW's annual 16-man tournament Road to Glory will be returning on the March the 11th and 12th. Dean Allmark, Vaughn Vertigo, Canadian, but still on his way to the UK. Joey Hayes, Beastman, Philip Michael, Yeston Reese, Will Cruz, and Jack Morris are all set to take part. Plus, on the 13th of May, PCW's He Who Dares annual Rumble will return, and Warhorse will be there.
Sacrifice Pro and UBW will be having a Wrestles Collide in Bedford on the 25th of February. And we've had our first 3 match announcements. UBW's Charles Crowley will face SPW's Kyle Kingsley for the Ultimate Sacrifice Championship. SPW's Hustle Malone will defend the UBW Young Lions Championship in a fatal 4-way match against SPW's Alexander Roth and UBW's Vinnie Cray and Smashing Mike. And in tag team action, Los Polinos, Frankie Vegas and Danny Mayhem will take on Thunder Express, Jackson Hart and Leo Edwards. Sacrifice Pro also announced the Sacrifice Pro and the Legend of 10 Minutes. We will see a ticking time bomb championship fatal 4-way with Kai Payne, Hustle Malone, Warren Banks and Williams. Sunset Skip and...
No, yeah, no, it's just Williams.
Right, Sunset Skip, RJ Singh, and Guerrilla Warfare, Alexander Hyde and Nathan Bryce. The 8-7, Roy Johnson, Alexander Roth versus Reckless Old Youth, Tim Lee and Jack Cave.
I think you tried to get through it a bit too quick there. So Sacrifice Pro have announced it's Sacrifice Pro and the Legend of 10 Minutes. We haven't got the date for that. Let's just find the date for that quickly. Oh, God, find the date. Sorry, so that show is on April 3rd, and it is a ticking time bomb championship fatal 4-way match. Kai Payne versus Hustle Malone versus Warren Banks versus Williams. A tag team match between Sunset Skip and RJ Singh versus the team of Guerrilla Warfare, Alexander Hyde and Nathan Bryan. And the 8-7 Roy Johnson and Alexander Roof will take on Reckless Old Youth, Tim Lee and Jack Cave.
Ignite Wrestling Pro have announced that the Kid Without Fear, Danny Black, will be making his Ignite debut in Borehamwood on the 6th of March.
Indeed. More news from Kamikaze Pro as they've announced that over the top 8 on the 19th of February, Chantel Shorten will defend her Relentless Championship against Alexis Falcon.
United Wrestling UK, with Jade having picked up an injury recently, she will be unable to compete at their Day 4 show Heart Beating on the 12th of February. LA Taylor will be facing Shikara in her place, and we do send our love to Jade.
Indeed. Wrestle Island have announced that at La Isle de Papel show on the 20th of February, Charlie Brennan will be taking on the leader of the Violent Gentleman Society, the Violent Gentleman himself, Tommy Jackson. Plus, they have revealed the rules for the Island Heist match. And yes, seriously, Wrestle Island have done it again. They love these crazy concepts that they come up with. I have no idea how his brain formats all works, but there will be 10 entrants. 2 people will start the match with new entrants entering in 1 minute intervals. Eliminations will be via pinfalls, submissions, or disqualifications. The final 2 in the ring will be given the location of the power-up briefcase. The first one back into the ring with the case will be declared the winner. The first entrant for the Island Heist has been announced, and that is Chocolate Thunder.
Wrestle Carnival have announced that at Mardi Gras on the 26th of March, they'll be holding a one-night tournament to crown the number 1 contenders for the Carnival Champion and the Queen of the Carnival, plus a very special Champions versus All-Stars match.
Indeed. They've also just announced that Charles Crowley will be defending his championship at the WXW 16 Carat Showcase.
Nice.
Indeed. Jurassic Pro Wrestling at JPW System Shutdown. The undefeated Corey McRae will be in action. He will be welcoming Danny Black to the paddock. And there will be no other match stipulations for this one. It will be a straightforward singles contest.
UKPW will be holding a seminar led by the incredible David Francisco on the 19th of February before the Blizzard Brawl. The price of the seminar also includes entry to the show Art of Combat. It also includes entry to the show.
Yes, Art of Combat AOC have announced a huge tag team match for their We're Going to Run This Town Tonight show, and that is Act 2, Benjamin Harlan and Jack Knudsen versus Guerrilla Warfare, Alexander Hyde and Nathan Bryan.
Lancashire Wrestling Federation have announced a huge 8-man tag team match for the Lancashire Wrestling Federation's Riot. As the models, Danny Hope and Joey Hayes team with Synergy's Troy Bryan and Anderson Daniels to face the Merseyside Mercenary Squad with Cameron Solis and Scott Oberman and the Wrecking Crew, Chris Stone and Davey Getsky.
That's a lot of men, and that's going to be a big, big match. A lot of men I'm looking forward to seeing that match live. European wrestling news. Copenhagen Wrestling have announced they got an English commentary team, and congratulations to both of these guys. That will be Johners. Obviously, we are we are on the Johners Network. We do the Wrestle Carnival preview shows with Wrestling with Johners. He's a fantastic guy and very deserving of this. The other guy is Kurt Johansson, who again does an amazing podcast, and his knowledge of the Scandi wrestling scene is second to none in the UK. So congratulations to both of these guys. And they will be the commentary theme for Sicker Than Your Average, which is on the 7th of May. Emeritus, Ruby Roberts, Nitro Green, ICW star, Luking Sharp, and American Independent Wrestling star, Warhorse, will be there, and many more.
The German Wrestling Federation, GWF, have announced that a global warning will be taking place on the 27th of February. Jessie J will defend the GWF Women's Championship against Alice Inc., and Mike DeVecchio will defend his GWF Berlin Championship against Crowchester.
I think it's Crowchester. I think he's got the Crow gimmick. Nordic Elite Wrestling NEW debut show New Horizon on the 18th of February in Copenhagen. They've announced their first matchup, which is a quarterfinal match for the new championship. It is Carlos Zamora versus Pete Phoenix, plus 2 more roster announcements, including American wrestler Dan Evans and Lobo. Carlos Zamora is a huge superstar coming out of Denmark. Keep an eye on him.
Yeah. Body Slam Pro Wrestling have announced that at Scandi Foundation on the 26th of February in Copenhagen, Jonathan Gresham will make his debut against Emeritus. Finally, after their match had been postponed twice before, will we finally see the Sunshine Machine challenge Randus Pagne for the Body Slam Tag Team Championships? Placenza Volta will be in action. Body Slam also announced that on the 2nd of April, they will be presenting their second women's wrestling showcase featuring Alice Inc., Sixt, Betty Rose, and more.
Indeed. As I say, yeah, that match has been postponed twice already between Sunshine Machine and Randers Pagney. It should be an insane match when it finally does happen. You'll be able to see it on IWTV. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I am very tired and I need to go to bed, and so does Dan. With that said, we hope you had a great show, and don't forget, don't feed the trolls.